Why Davide Tardozzi knew Catalunya would break the streak. In war, there are days where a general knows the tide before the first bullet flies. MotoGP isn't war, but it isn't far from it either. Every Sunday is blood, steel, and nerve stretched to breaking. Marc Marquez has built his career on rewriting inevitability, breaking men who thought they had him cornered, turning tracks into graveyards of rivals. But Catalunya 2025? This was different. This wasn't about Pecco Bagnaia crumbling, or Fabio Quartararo's exile into Yamaha's false promises, or Jorge Martin drowning in Aprilia's politics. This was about blood. About Alex Marquez staring down his brother on the one track Marc has never loved. And here's the brutal cut. Before the lights went out, Davide Tardozzi leaned into Marc's ear and told him the words that would shape destiny. Maybe today is the day. The track Marc could never break. Marc Marquez has destroyed MotoGP's calendar like a god rewriting scripture. Austin, Sachsenring, Aragon, his lands. Assen, Mugello, Misano, he's conquered them all, some with broken bones, some with sheer madness. But Catalunya? Barcelona has always been a thorn in his chest. Look at the record. He's only won there twice, 2014 and 2019. That's not dominance, that's survival. For Marc, Montmello has always been strange terrain, a place where his instinctive style doesn't fit the rhythm, where the corners chew tires differently, where the ghosts of past crashes whisper in every lap. He once admitted, "If this wasn't my home race, I would hate this circuit." That's not banter, that's confession. Coming into 2025, Marc had already ripped through tracks that should have broken him. Qatar? Won. Le Mans Rain? Managed. Mugello? Dominated. Even Silverstone, where he'd always been fragile, he walked away intact. Yet Catalunya remained a wound, and that wound had a name: Alex. Saturday. The warning sprint Saturday was the omen. Alex Marquez had pole with a lap record. The GP24 danced under him like it was built for his rhythm. Marc, he was wrestling, hustling, fighting the bike to keep pace. For once, Marc wasn't dictating, he was reacting. The race showed the truth. Alex was gone. Smooth on the rights, especially turn 3, turn 9, turn 13, the exact places Marc has admitted are his weaknesses. Marc clung to him, tried to bite back in the left-handers, but it wasn't enough. Alex had him cornered. Then fate intervened. Overconfidence, a twitch at turn 10, and Alex folded into gravel. The win landed in Marc's lap, his 15th in a row. But there was no joy, no fire in the celebration. Because Marc knew what everyone with eyes saw. Alex was faster. And Sunday wasn't going to be a replay. Tardozzi's whisper. This is where the story turns mythical. Before the main race, in the Ducati box, Davide Tardozzi walked over to Marc. Tardozzi's not just a team manager, he's an old fox, a war strategist who knows when history bends. He leaned in and told Marc quietly, "Maybe today is the day." That wasn't defeatist, that was prophetic. He knew Marc's streak, 15 straight wins including sprints, wasn't going to last forever. Nobody holds perfection forever. Tardozzi wasn't warning Marc to surrender. He was preparing him. He was reminding him that when the fall comes, how you accept it defines your legacy. Marc nodded, and deep inside he knew. He'd been saying it since Austria. Sooner or later, someone would be faster. He repeated it to himself all weekend. And fate, cruel as it is, lined it up so that someone was his own blood. Sunday, the execution. The lights went out, and Marc launched like a killer. First corner, he grabbed the lead. Classic statement. Classic Marquez. But Alex didn't blink. By lap 4, he slashed past on the straight and locked in. That move wasn't just an overtake. It was a declaration. Today is mine. From then on, the brothers staged a duel for the ages. Tire management perfect. Lap times identical. For 19 laps, Marc stalked him like a wolf. Down to 0.3, then back to half a second, then back down. He was waiting for the kill. Waiting to strike in the final laps, his usual trick of breaking men when the tank runs empty. But Alex wasn't breaking. He was growing. On lap 20, he dropped the hammer, 0.852 seconds gap. Marc reacted, tried to claw it back, but turn 7 betrayed him. A wobble. A flashback to Alex's sprint crash. A whisper in his head, "Don't risk it." And for the first time in months, Marc eased off. He gave up. By the checkered flag, the gap was 1.7 seconds. Alex Marquez raised his arms, screaming to the Barcelona sky. Marc crossed the line in second, head bowed, knowing the prophecy had been fulfilled. Mercy or defeat? Here's the question. Did Marc lose, or did he allow Alex to win? That's the riddle Barcelona carved into history. Marc himself said it. I gave up after the mistake at turn 7. He could have pushed, he could have risked, but he didn't. Why? Because he's 182 points ahead in the championship. Because Catalunya has always been cursed ground. Because sometimes the king chooses mercy. But let's be savage. Marc didn't just lose to Alex. He lost face. Because this wasn't Marco Bezzecchi stealing Silverstone when Marc was wounded, or Johan Zarco winning in chaos at Le Mans. This was Alex, head-to-head, clean track, no excuses. And Marc lifted. That crack in the armor? That will never be forgotten. Alex's moment, Marc's shadow. Alex called it his most important win. He said it meant more than Jerez. And fair enough, he beat the best rider of this generation straight up. But the irony is brutal. The very win that defines Alex's career will forever be haunted by the whisper. Did Marc let him? Because the truth is layered. Yes, Alex was faster. Yes, he deserved it. But Marc's mercy played its part. Without that turn 7 hesitation, without Marc flashing back to his brother's sprint crash, maybe he would have lunged, maybe he would have broken him. We'll never know. And that's why Alex's greatest triumph will always carry Marc's shadow. Tardozzi's prophecy fulfilled. When Davide Tardozzi told Marc maybe today is the day, he wasn't just predicting a race. He was predicting a shift, a streak broken, a dynasty reminded of its mortality. And Marc played his role exactly. Because that's what legends do. They don't just dominate, they know when to step back, when to let the story breathe. Marc Marquez losing to Alex Marquez at Catalunya wasn't an accident. It was the fulfillment of a prophecy. The day inevitability arrived. The fallout. This loss won't change the championship. Marc still holds a 182-point lead. The 7th title is his, Misano or no Misano. Alex can't stop it. Nobody can. But what this loss did was change the psychology. The streak is gone. The aura of untouchability cracked. Rivals now know Marc bleeds, that even Marc has a day when he lifts. They'll smell it. They'll dream bigger. They'll tell themselves, if Alex did it, maybe I can too. That's dangerous. Not for Marc's title, but for the fear he's built. Fear is currency in MotoGP, and Catalunya just devalued it. Have blood above trophies. Still, the deeper truth remains. This was never about points. This was about blood. Marc didn't lose to Pecco, Jorge, Fabio, or Bezzecchi. He lost to Alex, his brother, the boy he taught to ride, the kid he protected, the man he shared a garage with at Honda. Losing to Alex wasn't humiliation, it was family. That's why he didn't risk it all. That's why he didn't dive into turn 10 with reckless abandon. Because Marc can destroy every rider on that grid, but he will not destroy his brother. Not in Barcelona. Not in front of their people. That's the line even kings don't cross. Legacy rewritten. Marc Marquez's 2025 dominance will go down as one of the greatest seasons in history. His streak, his brutality, his relentless mindset, they've already sealed his place as the last OG, the gangster of MotoGP. But Catalunya carved a different chapter. It showed Marc as human, as brother, as someone who, even in total control of a sport, chose mercy over murder. And that paradox is what will live on. Because when the history books write about this weekend, it won't just be Alex Marquez won Catalunya. It'll be Marc Marquez let his brother touch the throne for one day because Davide Tardozzi knew the prophecy had to be fulfilled. And in that, Marc proved he isn't just the king of MotoGP, he's the kingmaker.